All right, next we have the Yuba City 5-year residential building guide. Darren.
Good evening, Mayor Didball and council members. It's a pleasure to be before you this evening to talk about our housing strategy. This is an item that was brought to the City Council back in September, and I gave a pretty long presentation related to our housing strategy. I can go through that I'll give a much abbreviated presentation. If you have any other questions, I can do that. In short, at one time back in 2004, we built 990, or I shouldn't say we, the city issued 991 residential permits. Now we're in the 40 units a year range. And there's some constraints that I just want to kind of highlight. Number one is the lack of improved parcels. Many of the parcels throughout the Sacramento region are being built on parcels of land that the entitlements were entitled pre-recession. So we call those pre-recession lots, and most of those lots in the Sacramento region not only were entitled, but they had infrastructure installed with them. So curb, gutter, sidewalk, sewer, water, and either the developers that are developing on them have that written off to like zero on their books, or they paid somewhere between 20 to 30 cents on the dollar of what the true value of those improvements are. So instead of the real value being somewhere in the $150,000 range, they're much, down well under 50,000 or well below. Another issue within Yuba City is we have few large parcels. Our development within our city, we get really excited when someone comes in with 30 acres. In most cities, it's hundreds. Or we even get excited with 50 or 100 acres. But in most cases, a lot of our land here is much smaller. Throughout the Sacramento region, it's much larger. Another one is the national home builders don't know Yuba City. They're just not here. And that industry has changed significantly since the last recession, and many people have moved on. And then finally, Yuba City used to have its own construction firms here. And when I mean that hasn't changed. We still have our own construction firms, but they used to only work here within the Yuba City region. And so there used to be a cost difference between what a person was charging here for construction versus somewhere outside the area. Now our contractors are moving, and with all of the devastation with the multiple fires, Redding, Camp Fire, and over in Napa, Santa Rosa, thank you. That's really just exacerbated the issue, and people are willing to travel. So those are a little bit of the constraints, but it really doesn't matter. It's where we are today, which is we're not seeing residential housing built, and that's why we brought forward a guide that the council directed us to do. And there's one goal: increase new housing starts. How can we do that? We have a plan. In the plan, it basically provides, it's very short, 8 pages, provides all the information for a home builder to come in, know where the properties are that are currently entitled. Why is that important? I don't know a single one of our properties that are entitled that are currently listed by a broker. Not one. So we need to make sure and get that into the hands of the home builder so that they can know that, we're open for business and here's a property that has an entitlement. 2, if someone's just interested in property, we can provide them information on where our infrastructure is. They can very clearly see, which landowners they need to go hit up. And really a third one is, and it's something that we talked about at the last meeting, which is promoting that Yuba City is open for business. We have demonstrated day in and day out that we can process projects quicker than any other jurisdiction within the entire Sacramento region. And we've heard that day in and day out from the developers that come into town that we work with. Do we make mistakes? Absolutely. We're always looking to try to make improvements. So that's what's in our Future Foundations plan. The part I want to talk about a little bit is this extra document, which is our action plan. What are we going to do? So since the meeting that we held in September, we held a quarterly builders, developers, engineers, anyone that's in the development industry within the Yuba City region. We invited them to a lunch. We gave them the same presentation we gave the city council, and we received feedback, and we included it into our plan. Next, we are working with First American Title to put together a roadshow in basically in South Placer County. That's where the majority of the home builders are. We have great connections with our local home builders, but and we want them to succeed, and we want to help them out. But at the same time, we need to bring in additional ones to come in here. So that's part of our action plan. It's identifying infill projects. As we've mentioned, we will be, if the council approves this, we'd be preparing actual building plans that someone could come into the city and we would say, here you go. You can use these building plans to develop a home within our city. That's a savings of somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000, a full set of construction plans. And where did that came from? That came from our development services director, Arnaldo, who's meeting with property owners on code enforcement issues that say, it's just too expensive for me to tear down the home. And here's some of the issues. And he asked the question, how about if we presented you a full set of plans? They said, great. So we're working, we'll identify, if the council approves this, local folks to help us come up with a full set of plans. Impact fees. We have told every single local developer and Sacramento region developer that here's what our impact fees are. If you have a piece of property you want to build new housing starts on, come sit down with staff and we'll work through those issues. We would need to come back to the city council for approval if we were to reduce our impact fees. I can tell you tomorrow, I have a meeting with one of our local home builders on a project that he's considering. And I know one of the issues is going to be impact fees, and he's waiting to see the outcome of this council meeting. At least in the short term as it relates to impact fees, we hope to bring back in December an item to not index our impact fees. Every January, I believe it's January, our impact fees are indexed by a consumer price indexed. So we'll at least bring that. And then development really is it's a formula. Construction cost, land cost, impact fee cost. There's a variety of different costs, and then price. There are some concerns that if you lower impact, if you don't have a home builder that's out there that's looking to build and you lower impact fees, does that just increase the price of the land? Because it's all a formula. That being said, we'll bring back to council whatever the home builders tell us that they need as we continue to talk with them. And like I mentioned, tomorrow we'll be meeting with one of them. Streamlining. How can we better improve our process to make it quicker? Time is money to developers. And they want to see surety that they can get a project moving forward when they make an investment, especially now as the market has softened in the Sacramento region. A couple other things is, how do we encourage accessory dwelling units? Just the other day in the paper, there was an article about Yuba County adopting a CFD program. We actually already have one of those. They did not. And we will be bringing back every single one that any of the residential developers want to do so that they can use CFDs to help make the development cost work for them to build homes of all different types of housing, right? This isn't just a $500,000 home that's being built in the northwest side of Yuba City, but how can we have possible starter homes, tiny homes, whatever it might be. Looking at setback requirements. This is a big issue that could take a lot of time. And so as we meet with the developers, whatever they tell us, if they say, hey, this is what the market right now wants, which is, smaller lots, then we'll come back and bring that, and we think we can go forward very quickly. And then finally, how do we continue to go after grant funding and look for infrastructure improvements to help assist the development? All of this comes together as a result of a team of staff at the city. And I want to recognize we have Dennis Cook, who's assisted with this, Diana Langley, Sharon from Public Works, and Arnaldo all put a great amount of effort into this so that we can be ready and show that our residential developers that we're here, we're open for business, and we want to see them succeed. And at the same time, we have to balance the needs of the community of building the infrastructure that are needed as a result of new residents coming to our city. So I can answer any questions that you might have. I do have other details that I went over the first time, but that is our action plan, and the staff recommendation is to adopt the future foundation and the action plan.
Great, thank you, Darren. I'll bring it back to council for any questions, discussion, or approval.
Just a question for Darren. Darren, looking at kind of new model of use, the millennial usage of properties.
Yeah.
They're less concerned for for property that they have to take care of. They would prefer to be in multiple sequence dwellings with connected duplex, triplexes, things like that. In this whole program, is that something that we're looking at, is to be more attractive to millennials? I mean, price-wise, we're there at times. There is a big sag in the market currently, and when I say big, it's talking to local realtors, we're sitting at about a 4% sag right now, and it's probably seasonal. They're hoping, and some of it's driven by interest rates, but and then looking at the smaller footprint, multiple narrowly connected structures. So
Absolutely.
okay, because that's, I mean, if we're going to be attractive and try to get folks to move here, and especially retain some the millennials and get them, whether they're working here or commuting, I think that we just have to have those plans and available for them.
We've reached out recently to a builder in Sacramento that is doing work on Broadway, which has an interesting product. The national home builders are not looking for that attached product, but some of the Sacramento developers definitely are. And I've already had one meeting with one of them, and both the mayor and I were on a trip with one of the Ryan and Bardis grandchildren, and they're very interested.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Discussion, approval?
I move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Great, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
before you go into business from the council, may I ask just for a moment to make a comment?
absolutely.
Thank you. Arnaldo Rodriguez, who was just mentioned as part of Darren's presentation, has been with the city for 3.5 years. And this is the last time he will be appearing before your council. He's due congratulations as he's going on to become the city manager for the city of Madera. And 3.5 years here is not normal. So it's not normal that I would take the time to mention this, because our executive team members have an average tenure of over 15 years with the city. And so we were hoping for the same for Arnaldo. But when he got the call to essentially go back home to the community in which he was raised and be the city manager there, it's very much a compliment to him. I will qualify that, though, by saying his 3.5 years is really the equivalent of about 7 years of work time, because he has a tendency to put extra effort, 200% of effort into his job. And our city is better off as a result of it. I know your council knows this. I know you appreciate him, and I just felt, for the record, the community would be best to know that they had a person here who certainly is leaving Yuba City better than he found it. So thank you, Arnaldo. Thank you, council.
Thank you. And I just have to say, in those 3.5 years, I was on the panel when we were interviewing, and you were by far just the perfect candidate, and obviously for the position. And you uplifted your entire family ASAP and moved everyone here. Your daughter just graduated from River Valley High School, and so you made every effort to make sure that this became home for not only you, your family. And you did a phenomenal job with the city, and you reached out to residents. You made sure that everybody was connected. We have letters from folks that would come to the front desk and were just treated with utmost respect, and all information was handled quickly. And great care, and we have letters that vouch for that. So thank you very much for the 3.5 years. We wish you would stay, but you know what? That offer to go back to the city and be the city manager is phenomenal. Very, very well deserved.